Hello.
Hi there.
Wait, I don't know if my computer is. Okay, speakers.
Oh,
Okay.
it's talking. It says Chelsea is talking. It doesn't say Chelsea is actually visible though.
Oh, I
There
didn't see
you
this.
are. Oh my God, what are those lights?
I don't know. I got them off Amazon. They were $15, but that's kind of expensive.
It's so awesome. It's like very ethereal, very mystical kind of background. We don't know where you are. Where in the world?
I'm finally back in my dorm, back in the cross.
Where in the world is Carmen San Diego? So, oh, you're back here in town?
Finally.
Oh, hi, Michelle.
Hello, everybody.
So we'll see who shows up on a miserable. It's so cold. I know people have a hard time getting to their computer from their living
That's
room.
right. That's right. That's right.
So, it's cold. What is it? What's the temperature now?
It's finally like 5 degrees now,
It,
which
it warmed up to 7, but it was like minus 11 at one point. Um, and tonight is going to go down to minus 9, but back
oh my
up to.
gosh.
But it'll be 10 tomorrow, and then pretty much cold all week till Sunday. It's going to be in the single digits.
I feel so bad for complaining when it was like 29 degrees. I I didn't know what I had.
I had
No,
somebody.
that's
I had somebody on a seminar earlier today, and he's in Corpus Christi, Texas, and it's 62, and people wearing these heavy coats there.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause for them, 62 is freezing.
And like that's not even including the wind chill on the weather app. Like the wind
Oh,
chill could
that's right.
easily be like
How come the
cold.
weather app doesn't show the wind chill? There's some.
It's like I know on the iPhone it's all the way at the bottom, but I feel like it should be at the top because what it feels like is really what the
Oh, here
weather
feels like there. I never noticed that. Thank you. It feels like minus 9.
Oh my gosh.
How can you tell the difference between minus 9 and minus 12? I mean, come on.
No, after like 10 degrees, it's all the same to me, really. I
Well,
saw
wait a
you.
couple of minutes to see who else is coming. People have been coming and going. So it may take some work to learn something new, I guess. So
I saw you updated the CSOA website. It looks so good.
you like it?
I really like it. I opened
I'm
it up.
working on. It's a work in progress. I'm always trying to add new things and make it look better.
It looks really good. I
But it has
really like
to also not just looks, it has to have things that are of value to people.
it. Mhm.
Like if you click on holidays, you'll get Rosh Hashanah. It really has the detail. Now if you don't need the detail, it has things on a very simple level as well. So Brady, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good to see you. What having the evening off, huh?
Yeah,
You're not working. So you're on your feet the whole time at work, aren't you?
yeah.
So I guess that's good for the waistline. How many miles do you put on at work every night?
Uh-huh. Did you get your 10,000 in?
10,000 steps.
Probably most nights, yeah.
Oh my God. He works at the Gunnison Clinic, and he's on his feet all the time there.
Oh,
Well, let's get started, and other people will join us as they want to. First, before I delve into all the exciting things I have to talk about, we're talking about 3 different holidays today. They're kind of a little grouping that happened at the same time: Sukkot, Simchat Torah, Shmini Atzeret. That's the 3 little holidays. We're going to talk about forgiveness, what that looks like. We'll sing a couple of fun Sukkot songs. I have some songs for Sukkot, and then a couple of I found some great videos online, very short videos about this week's Torah portion. So instead of having to spend 20 minutes learning all about it, we can do it in 3. And then in the end, let's talk a little midrash, a little story about Avraham, and end up with some Hebrew. How's that? Sound like a plan?
sounds good.
All right, so let's get started. I think this is kind of a leftover from where we were talking about the high holy days in the last couple of weeks. Is the idea of forgiveness. The idea is you're supposed to, if you're going to approach the high holy days, which this year they're happening in September, by the way, which is really nice because we'll be outdoors again for our services. And I don't know if you saw it. Were you here in October, Chelsea? We had outdoors. So yeah, you were there. it's nice to be outdoors when it's like 65, 70 degrees. So I'm looking forward to September. But forgiveness is throughout the year, you're supposed to be nice to people. But you know how Christians always say, this is a season to, Christmas is a great season to be nice. Why can't you be nice all year round? And some
It's a better
young kids
world.
will say, well, there's somebody's got the list, checking if you've been naughty or nice, right?
Mhm.
Well, in Judaism, hi Clara, welcome.
Hi,
So,
Clara.
in Judaism, they're checking the list every day. It's you don't just get not just
Yeah.
preparation for Christmas. It's every day you're kind of watching your own behavior. Um, so as far as forgiveness goes, you're supposed to, as the high holidays approach, you're supposed to reach out to people that you feel you've done wrong to, or there may be a grudge there somewhere, just to clear the air and to make friends with them again, And so I did that once. I went to somebody like in April or May. I said, I really felt badly what happened last year. He had forgotten all about it. I kind of opened up. I should never have mentioned it. Now I mentioned I opened up a whole can of worms, and he was pissed off at me again. So he forgot all about it. So sometimes it's not good to look for forgiveness. I was on Losey Boulevard the other day and somebody cut me off and he threw the finger at me again. People do that. I don't know why they do that. I was driving the speed limit. That's why he was upset with me, because I was driving like 35 when it said 40 or something. And now you got to be careful because any of these streets, there's ice everywhere. And I was on Main Street trying to stop for the light. I slid all the way up to the corner by
Oh,
Michelle's house because there's this layer of ice and you can't slam your brakes on it. You just go really slow. Um, but the people behind you don't like that. So I want to bring up this document. I sent it out to everybody, but I think I lost Clara. She didn't like the subject. Okay, so pull up the forgiveness document that I sent out to. Can everybody see that? You ever see that?
Yep.
Okay. So you don't have to do this now, but I'd like you to watch this movie. It's online. It's called Forgiving Dr. Mengele. Maybe you know who Dr. Mengele was?
oy. Yes.
Yeah, he was a Nazi doctor at Auschwitz, and his job was to select people who could be kept for work or those who were to be sent to the gas chambers. He also selected people for experiments. He would take two twins, and one twin he would put in ice cold water for hours, and the other one he put in an oven for hours. To
Oh
see,
my God.
and just then you compare them after they died to see if their autopsies were similar. The crazy
Oh,
guy. Oh, I met somebody who was a survivor of one of his experiments. Her sister dies. Now she's like 85 years old, and what it was like to be go through that. But she said at least she survived the whole thing she was liberated by the Russians at the end of the war. So Mengele, there's a movie on Mengele about forgiveness. The question is, can you ever forgive somebody like that? Can you ever forgive Hitler or the Nazis? That those are extreme cases of forgiveness, right? So I have some examples here. So I thought we'd go over them one at a time. Michelle, did I lose you?
no, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's fine. Can you still
Okay,
see
I'm
this on the
here.
screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I was looking at the stuff you sent. I just went back to
Oh, good.
those.
So you're the rabbi in a community. Okay. What would you do? Number one, a drunk driver causes a horrible accident, killing 3 people. By the way, that happens every week in Wisconsin. If you ever see the papers, I get the Tribune, the La Crosse Trib, every morning. There's always an accident somewhere in Wisconsin where people get killed. It's terrible. It's out. Usually the roads are bad, but so the mother of one of the children killed comes to you and asks whether she should forgive the drunk driver. What would you say? Anybody? What would you say to this mother who's just lost a child? They asking her to testify at the hearing, at the trial. And,
I would say definitely yes, because the not forgiving somebody harms me, not the other person. What do the other person care? But it harms me. The thing
how's that?
is, because I'm angry at this person. And so then make angry and negative and hateful and all of that harms me.
Yes,
I
the
am not.
stress can physically affect you. That's right.
Yeah, the thing is this though, that sometimes even if I want to forgive somebody, I can't. I'm like, logically, yeah, okay, I want to forgive them. How do I do it? To me, that's the question. How do I really do it? I don't think I have the power to do it.
Well, we talked about that man who came to me after many years, and he had this woman that he wanted to apologize to. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
And he hasn't seen her at all for 30 years, but he's in his 50s now and he feels he should go back and apologize to her for what
Oh,
happened
yeah.
during their relationship 30 years ago. They're both married, they both have kids. Should he go open up that wound? The bad feelings. She's buried them and moved on, as far as we know. She may but for him, he's been carrying this with him tremendously. He's having therapy for it. I mean, it's very serious. And if he never, so you know what some psychiatrists tell you to do, or psychologists, you write a letter to the other person, but you don't mail it. You write this letter, you put it in an envelope, maybe you put a stamp on it, but you don't mail it. You keep it at home. Now, what's the idea behind that, Michelle? Why would writing a letter help you deal with the situation?
Well, because you'd be able to get it out. At least you would be writing it out in the letter, and maybe it would help you to feel like you were able to get it out.
Yes. Holding it in is the worst thing. It's the worst thing. We do it with our parents when we're kids. You want to get back and say things to your parents, and you can't because you're a kid. You get in trouble, or you make them angry, or whatever the result will be, or beat the crap out of you, depending on which parent he is. So the idea is that for young people, you have to hold it. As adults, we feel shouldn't have to hold it in anymore. We shouldn't carry these burdens with us for years. But I've met people who've had child abuse in their past, and they're going through therapy for it. What they really want is go back to the person and ask them, "Why'd you do that to me?" And get some explanation, and then apology, even more so. And they may never got that. First of all, the old person may not even remember doing anything like that. So anyway, so forgiveness. Let's talk about another case that happens with me frequently. Number 2. Your child was the object of horrid bullying. It never happens, right? Your child is the object of horrible bullying. The parents of the bully are seeking the child's and the parents' forgiveness. So what do you do?
The parents of the
Parents of
bully
the bully
are
are
seeking
asking, they want to apologize to the kid and to the parents. First of all, should you introduce them together? Should you bring them to the parents of the kid that was bullied? And the other question is, can that kid ever get rid of that horrible period of bullying in his life?
I feel like it's not the parents' place to apologize for their child. Like, it's the child that did the bullying. So why is, I guess, a different party apologizing for the child?
Yeah, you're right, Chelsea. I think the right thing to do is get the kid to change his behavior, to stop doing it. That's the whole thing about Jewish forgiveness is you don't go to a confessional and tell the father, "I've sinned," and he says, "Well, say 3 Our Fathers and 4 Hail Marys, and then you're forgiven." No, Judaism says, yes, you want forgiveness, but then you got to change your behavior. After you
you
walk
have to
out
work
of
on
there,
it.
well, yeah, after Rosh Hashanah, after Yom Kippur, or after this weekend, you go, you just don't do it anymore to people. Stop doing it. But it's not easy to change behavior. Everybody makes resolutions. What is it, February 8th? How many people make
Brian,
resolutions people make resolutions in January for the new year. I read a statistic. The New York Times said yesterday that 80% of all resolutions made in January 1st are done. They are gone. People forgot. I'm going to exercise a lot more. I'm only going to eat protein shakes. Somebody said, I'm going to be a better driver. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to be nice to my mother. Whatever I don't think you should ever try to change your whole life with a resolution. That's why in your Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we say change something little about yourself. For me, it was not using curse words. I don't curse in public, but sometimes to myself, somebody cuts me off and I say something to myself. So I want to stop thinking like that. This first reaction should be, I understand this person is going through a rough day, and they cut me off because they're on the way to pick up their kids from school. So little things. Somebody told me that they made a resolution. They're gonna floss twice a day. He said that he bought a lot of floss in January 1st. By January 15th, he couldn't find where the floss was anymore. And, so sometimes change should be incremental, very small changes. Be nice to somebody. You can't change the other person, but you can change how you respond to somebody. If you have a mother that's overbearing and yells at you all the time, you could, instead of yelling back, you could listen to her, and maybe her mood will change and she'll go away. Whatever it is that you have to take it slow, I think. So anyway, that's one of the. So going back to this forgiveness idea. So this bullying, this happens so much. I was bullied when I was little. In one case because I was Jewish. People are bullied for whatever the reason is, and then the person who does the bullying years later doesn't remember it at all.
Yeah.
We had a before the pandemic, we had a 50th high school reunion. And one of the guys that everybody knew was a real bully, he showed up with his wife. And they hadn't seen him in 50 years. And a bunch of people started going over towards him to tell him how horrible he was to them in high school. And his wife was shocked that everybody said these things about him. This man is so sweet and so gentle. How could he be the guy who bullied people and made them feel bad in their childhood? He didn't remember any of these incidents.
What?
He didn't remember that I was in the Music Man with a straw hat and a cane. He broke my cane in 5 places and destroyed my straw hat, and I couldn't go out on stage after that. That ruined my
He didn't remember any of them, really? Come on.
He had no.
He knew.
No, he didn't remember. All the people had incidents, right? This one woman said she shoved him picked her up and threw her in the garbage can in the hallway. He didn't remember any of these things. Such a nice, harmless man, So you can't always look to the person who's caused problems for you for forgiveness. So you have to you have to look within yourself. Anyway, let's next one.
Well, and I'm not saying that you get like pointing a finger at somebody. I know for sure if I did something to, my memory may be different. I don't know. But I know for sure.
A situation differently than that, especially if it's an emotional situation. You may remember it differently than they do.
Well, I know if I hurt somebody, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, some people are insensitive to hurting other people. So let's go on. Let's see. Here's another one. This actually happened not just in World War II. This happened. They're trying to reconcile people in places like Rwanda, in Africa, and when the Turks killed many Armenians, or more recently, the civil wars like in Syria and other places. So in country X, they're witnesses to the mass killing and torture of innocent men, women, and children. One of the survivors has been approached by the paramilitary, and he's asking for forgiveness. He wants to go to, when he dies, he wants to know he's been forgiven for this horrible thing that he and his buddies, army buddies, have done. Do you give him that satisfaction? Do you allow him to express that forgiveness? One of the most famous Nazi hunters was Simon Wiesenthal. Very famous Nazi. He wrote books called The Nazi Hunter. He stayed in Europe after the Holocaust for 25 years, and he and his team always tracked down these people who were horrible people during the war. And he brought them to justice. He didn't go kill them. He brought them, made sure that they went to court. And all of these people, including Eichmann himself, who was brought to trial in 1960, Eichmann was in charge of all the deportations all over Europe. And he said, it was just doing my job. You know, I had a tough boss, you know, he worked for Hitler. He had a tough boss. I was just doing my job, I was following orders. He was found guilty, of course, but the idea was all the Holocaust survivors who came to the trial and they were witnesses in the trial, they wanted him to say, I'm sorry, we feel terrible. We want your children and grandchildren to be happy and to forget this horrible time in Germany. No, not a single one of them. But there's something interesting. The country of Germany, beginning in 1960, started sending money to Israel. They gave them money for guns, they gave them money for automobiles, money to build factories, and they gave money every month to anybody who was in a concentration camp or in a ghetto or was deported. We're talking about 4 or 5 million people who are survivors or their children who continue to get money even today from the German government. That is forgiveness that you're talking about 70 years.
That's taking responsibility.
They're taking responsibility for what they did. They took away something like $80 billion in possessions from the Jews that they just, including artwork and their houses and their cars and their money, their furniture even they took away, and their household goods. You know, it's hard to, you can't really give restitution by giving somebody back a bracelet that was stolen 50 years ago. But to not only say they're sorry, and now the big thing comes up in the United States. Do you remember we used to have a group of Americans who were kept in bondage in southern United States? Who was kept in slavery in the southern United States for hundreds of years?
You mean the African
Americans? So, and the question is, can you really pay back millions of people like that for what was done to their grandparents or great grandparents or people you can't even track down because you don't have the records? So the idea was the only thing they could do in America to say they're sorry was maybe give a leg up when you apply to college. If you're African American, they give you kind of a little bit better break. When you apply for a job, they have equal, what do they call it, affirmative action, so that a Black person is given, even their education is not as great as a white person, they would be able to get the same chance to have a job that they would have. And so, yeah, Michelle.
What you bring up Israel and then America and what we're going through right now.
Yes.
And I think right, okay, so you get the bracelet back. That's one thing, okay, or the painting or whatever, that's one thing. But I think it really is understanding that you can never make up for that. But by Germany taking such responsibility and taking what happened on that land so seriously, to be doing what they have done and still do, so that then here in America, if we did the things, we were doing the things that you said, if we also would do things like agree that America was literally on the backs of these people, and when you have a history like that people in the country refuse to acknowledge or anything like that, nothing that you can do is going to go very far.
Right.
You help with the college, you do this, that's going to help absolutely that person's family. No, do not stop that. But let's go down to if if you go down to the place where it hurts, which Germany has done the best that it could.
Well, they've gone
If
further,
we go
Michelle.
down,
Germany has
huh?
changed their behavior. Germany as a country has, first they're doing a lot of education about what happened in World War II.
Yes,
They're
but they've taken
also taking big
responsibility.
steps. If a white supremacist group marches and says things about Jews, they are
Yep.
arrested and go to
Yep.
trial.
Yes. Yes.
Where other countries are starting,
Yes.
France has a huge amount of anti-Semitism. Many Jews are leaving France now for
I
Israel
know.
and Canada.
I know.
So
I know, but what I'm saying is when a country really works so hard, in other words, if we stood our ground here in the States and said, history, period, and we need to work on our racism, you don't start with that kind of history and then not be racist if you
yeah.
haven't worked on it,
Well,
right?
I'm
So
concerned about,
um,
I've been concerned about how police are. The first thing to do is hire more police who are not white. Hire some more black and brown policemen. But it's also training people that when you go to reach for your license or your registration in the glove compartment, that you have to not be prepared to be shot in the back. And they're more likely to do that to a black person and a white person on a traffic stop. I've been stopped for a broken headlight. They didn't shoot me. They gave me a ticket. And I was able to get rid of the ticket because I proved that I could get the thing fixed within a certain amount of time. If I was a black person, I don't know if I'd gotten that.
no, you'd be scared to death. Yeah.
No.
But that's my I'm sorry, my point is just that Germany, whatever it's doing, is taking responsibility the best that it can and is trying very, very hard. There are
Right.
some things you cannot undo. The same here in this country, and we are not doing it.
Okay.
If we were serious about it, we'd be putting a lot of money to education about
Yeah.
racism, about
Okay.
anti-Semitism, about other. But
Yeah.
so what I'm trying to say is when it might be when a country like Germany does what it does, rather than not doing what we're not doing,
Yeah.
then maybe that, yes, because they're taking such responsibility that then maybe I can, maybe, I don't know, because I'm not in this situation, but maybe I can open up to forgiveness because of that.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I mean,
Let's give somebody else a chance to. Anybody else want to respond to that?
Good is good and evil is evil, no matter how you look at it. Unfortunately, there's a political movement that has to perpetuate everything. Ultimately, that's the sad part about it.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's go on. I don't want to. So that's it about forgiveness. I just wanted to. There was I said, are there some acts so heinous as to be beyond forgiveness? The Holocaust today, it's 70 years ago. There's very few people who survived the Holocaust, but they're still teaching all about it. The idea is that we're supposed to not repeat it, right? So new societies, young people growing up are supposed to see how these things are wrong. And we talk reparations for slavery might be very difficult to identify who the families are, how much they should get. So I think it's better if we just improve our society and give African Americans and other people of color a chance to improve their education, improve their economic condition, to get out of poverty where they are in poverty. That will have the desired result rather than, giving the cash is nice too, but I think it also has to be accompanied with the ability to improve their lives. That's all. All right, let's go on. Let's go on. I wanted to talk about next, the next subject is the holidays. There's 3 holidays. Remember we try to do a holiday or 2 a week? This week we'll talk about Sukkot. This is our website. So some of you have looked at the website. I kind of like. This is the page on Sukkot. So what can we see here? What is that? Anybody? Anybody see it?
no, what did you? I don't see any. I see.
Oh, share screen. Let's do it again.
Ah.
What do you see? Can anybody see anything?
Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's there.
I see a vacation with lawn chairs.
What's that?
I said I see a vacation with lawn chairs.
Right, but this is a
Vacation.
special structure called a sukkah, just a biblical word for booth. And during this 1 week, 8-day holiday in the fall, Jews are supposed to build these little structures. They have to be flimsy. In this case, he used plastic sheeting to make the walls. And the ceiling can't be permanent either. It's got to be what they use there, like corn stalks or wheat, some type of covering there. People use bamboo, rolled bamboo mats or something. It can't be permanent. It's a temporary. And the idea is to connect ourselves with a very ancient agricultural holiday. This was during the harvest. And the farmers in ancient Israel would live in their, not live at home, but they would be out among their fields harvesting. And they would stay overnight in these booths, these sukkot. But it becomes more than that. You know, in Judaism, we try to totally get ourselves involved with a mitzvah, with a good deed. In this case, we have this old-fashioned agricultural thing. And we say, wait a second, let's make it special. Let's have special meals out there. Let's say some special prayers. Let's connect some special foods with it. You know, in Judaism, every holiday has its own special foods. Now this is before the pandemic. This is a year before. Two of the girls from our synagogue have in their hands a special tool we use to represent the holiday. And who can tell me what that's called that they're holding? Anybody?
Lulav.
Lulav. That's right. That's a lulav, which just means the tall palm branch that's there. We also have willows and myrtle, and so each one of these represents different kinds of people and different kinds of vegetation. And it becomes part of the whole mystique. Easter holiday has its own mystique, its own special mystical quality. Notice it's chilly out that time of the year too. So Sukkot is this holiday where we look at these things. It's called the Feast of Booths. And it's one of the most important Jewish holidays. There are 3 pilgrimage holidays during the year. One is called Sukkot. Another one is Pesach or Passover. And the third one is called Shavuot, remembering when we get the 10 Commandments. So this Sukkot is an important holiday, and it lasts over a week. So people are supposed to go out in there and they're actually supposed to eat all their meals there. And some people actually sleep in there overnight, get their sleeping bags out and go to sleep, you know? So now here in our climate in October, it really isn't conducive to sleeping outdoors. But in Israel, a lot of people will be sleeping in their sukkah at night. Kind of neat. Somebody had a comment. Oh, so the purpose of the sukkah. Remember, we have a couple of things. Judaism is always talking about connections with ancient ideas. There's actually a commandment in the Torah that says you have to dwell in booths for 8 days. So it's a commandment that we're following right in the Torah. It's a direct Torah commandment. So it's one of those really serious ones we're supposed to follow. Now, a lot of people don't build their own sukkah. We build one at the synagogue. Like here on the side of the synagogue, we'll build a house like that. And people come in and say a blessing every day, drink some wine, eat some food, and shake the lulav. That's the lulav, which you shake in different directions to show that God is all around us, up and down, right and left, forward and back. Shake the lulav inside the sukkah. It becomes it's kind of a habit. It's kind of it's very mystical because it's connecting us with something that's at least 3,000 years old. And that's what I love about Judaism is the connection to the past. You know, it's very permanent. It's been around, Judaism's been around for 4,000 years, and we hope it's going to continue in the future, but it really is connected to things that are very ancient. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but so that's Sukkot. And We build the booths to remember what it's like at harvest time. It's known as the harvest holiday, another name for it. And on the 8th day is a holiday called Shmini Atzeret. It's a special holiday where we stop the sukkah and we conventionally take it down, of course. And there's strict rules about how to build it. And so it's kind of fun. So I hope when it comes around, we'll be outdoors again in October and the end of September this year to do that. So that's the holiday of Sukkot. You already knew about this, right? So, okay. Any questions? Ideas, thoughts? Okay. This is our website. So let's go to the next one, which
Chelsea
is
just asked a question.
yeah.
It was does Israel have the same like seasons as us? Like July here is summer. So in Israel is July also like summer, the hottest time of the year?
Yes, July, and I was there in July 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was 100 degrees every day, a whole week, and it's a hot and dry climate, right? It's a desert kind of climate. It's not as bad as 100 in Florida. 100 in Florida is you're sweating all the time. You don't sweat much in the heat there because it evaporates as soon as you sweat. So, but yes, right now it is 67 degrees in Jerusalem. You know, and it's 70 degrees at the beach in Tel Aviv. So this is a good place, a good time to go. It never now at night, because it's a desert climate, it can get chilly. They actually have had snow in Jerusalem, but typically it's never lower than 35 degrees, maybe 40. It's as cold as it gets. So it's more tropical. It's further closer to the equator. And a lot of the things we do remember things that are going on in Israel. We try to acknowledge our connection to the Holy Land throughout the year. Let's see. So let's pull it up again. Another holiday we were looking at was Simchat Torah. That's under worship holidays. I go down to Simchat Torah. Now, Simchat Torah, as you can tell, has the word Torah in it. This is a time when we take out all the Torahs that are in our ark. We have 5 of them. Some synagogues have many more. This is obviously at the wall in Jerusalem, the Western Wall, and they're dancing with the Torahs. They're singing and dancing with the Torahs. It's a celebration of this document, this scroll that we've been commanded to carry with us, literally and figuratively, for thousands of years. Our Torah scrolls in our synagogue can be as much as a couple hundred years old. And the ones in the museums are 1,000 years old or more. These scrolls are unbelievable, and they are identical to the kind of writing that they used 2,000 years ago, the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Simchat Torah, it's a day filled with dancing and celebration. We come to the end of the scroll, and we start over again. So that's the holiday of Simchat Torah. Because remember, this scroll, we read it throughout the year. I think I got another picture here. Oh, that's not the picture. Let's see. Stop sharing. Pull up a picture of the Torah. Okay, pick up the Torah. Let's see. Go over here and there, and go back. Who's making all that noise? All right, let's see. Go to the Torah. And sometimes I have so many pictures. Torah. Oh, I wanted to show you some other examples of a sukkah that some people have built here in town. That's another sukkah. What's different about this one?
What's command up?
Huh?
Which one? Wait, which one? I don't see which one you're pointing at.
Oh, sorry. Share screen. Again. There you go.
That one looks like it has a roof, even though
What's
it's
that?
not. It looks like it has a roof, even though it's not like on?
This is not quite a kosher sukkah. What's wrong with it?
Is it the
It-
roof?
What?
The roof?
Not just the roof. The whole thing is a little bit too permanent, too solid. It might
Oh,
not.
is it?
Yeah, look at. I mean, everything's. I mean, these are bamboo, right? They're solid bamboo,
Oh,
and the structure is very strong. I mean, this might not blow down in a rainstorm, but it really should be less permanent than this is. It's done a good job
okay.
tying everything up. Not really
Too good.
a kosher sukkah, but it's very nice inside. With some others in the picture in here. Oh, this is the one. Can you see that one?
Yeah.
That's ours
Yeah.
at the synagogue.
Yeah.
And we use this bamboo, which is just a bamboo mat, we just roll it out. But otherwise the structure is not very solid. Notice we use Wi-Fi over there too. So, okay, if that was that. I wanted to show you that. We'll go back to here. So, those are the holidays. So there's a fun quiz on here I wanted to get to. And then you got to look at this website called My Jewish Learning. Has anybody looked at this one?
Yep.
MyJewishLearning.com. It has so much great information on here and wonderful pictures. So here's a picture of the Torah scroll, and we come to the end of it, and then we have this holiday, Simchat Torah, rejoicing with the Torah.
Everything on screen.
We re-roll it and start over again. So,
Wait, okay, we still have just your document up.
why?
Did you show a picture?
Yes. There we go. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's obviously a little slow on the internet, so this is a picture of the Torah scroll. And can anybody see what those pages are made out of? Guess what they're made out of? They are kind of leather. They're parchment. They're made from skin of sheeps. And they last forever. The scroll we're looking at is 300 years old. And each page is a piece that's cut out from the skin and cured. And you see they're taped together and sewed together every foot or so. So it really rolls into a nice scroll. And that's so here we got a little quiz. Let's see if I find that here. Where is the quiz? Let's see. I have a quiz. Okay. Here's my document. Okay. Here's the quiz. There's one fun quiz in there. So let's see, 2 holidays. Well, here's the quiz. Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah quiz. How much do you know about the final holidays? Can you see this screen at all or not looking at it?
Yep. Yeah, we can see it.
You see the scroll on the left there?
Yep.
So you can see the scroll is rolled out. And what many synagogues do is they unroll them completely so everybody can see how long they are. A couple hundred feet long. Like almost the length of a football field. So that's why this is a big character. All right, here's the quiz. Okay. On Simchat Torah, can you see the quiz, number 1?
Yes.
On Simchat Torah, what are the circles made while holding the Torah and dancing around the synagogue called? So,
Oh my God.
you know what the answer is?
Hakafot.
Hakafot. Because Hoshanot is a different kind of ceremony. The Decan was where the wife and husband at a wedding, the husband will put the veil over the wife's face. So they're trying to trick you with other Hebrew words. So Hakafot are the next one. When are Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah observed?
1 week after Sukkot ends.
Let's see. I don't know. See what the answer is. Okay. Next one. What is Vizot HaBracha? Oh, I know that. That's the last. That's the end of the Bible. The end of the Torah. I mean, Vizot HaBracha. This is the blessing. That's the end of the Deuteronomy. The very last. Before you re-roll it, that's the end of the Torah. Now, we roll from the beginning. The person who gets an aliyah, they get to say a blessing from the end of the Torah on Simchat Torah. So,
Oh my gosh. Well,
you know, Hakafah, you said, was the procession, right? Going around in circles. That's not the answer. Kol HaNarim is not the answer. So it's either the
Matan
groom,
Torah.
the groom of the Torah, or the groom of the Bereshit, the groom of Genesis. We're at the end of the Torah, so it can't be Genesis, right? Can't be Bereshit. So it has to be the groom and bride of the, if it's a woman, it's the bride of the Torah. And if a man, it's a chatan, a groom of the Torah. Let's figure that one out. Okay, next. What do the circles around the synagogue represent according to Kabbalist traditions? Why are we circling? So you have a choice. It's either the 7 days of the holiday, or it's 7 levels of God, or it's 7 days of the week, or a combination of A and B, or B and C.
I'm going to say A.
Well, A is one of them for sure. 7 days of the holiday. But it is also one more thing. Which one do you think it might be?
A and B.
A and B is, I think that's right. Because the 7 sefirot, the 7 levels of reaching God, that's very mystical. We'll study Kabbalah a little bit later in the year. So the 7 days of the holiday plus the 7, they represent the 7 levels of getting closer to God. So it's really a
plus,
nice.
where does it fit in where the traditionally the groom walks around the bride 7 times? Is that the same?
No, it's always been the other way around. The woman, the bride, walks around the groom 7 times.
Yeah.
To show that the groom is in charge, that he's the boss.
Oh,
in modern weddings, people don't do that anymore. Women have an equal, they have an equal role in their marriage. So the men will walk around the women also.
They both do, yeah, okay.
What do you do in a gay marriage? What do you do in a gay marriage? I performed a gay marriage in St. Paul. So who marches around who?
did they both do each other?
They both walked at the same time in 7 circles.
Oh,
that way neither partner is the boss of the other. You know,
Oh,
it was really beautiful.
That's neat.
Where's the Haftarah for Simchat Torah taken from? So it's a little bit. It's not from the Book of Esther, which we sing on Purim.
For Purim, yeah.
And it's not the Book of Joshua. Let's see. I'm going to guess. I'm not sure. For Simchat Torah, it should be Ezra. Because Ezra was the first one that decreed that the Torah should be read every week in front of the whole congregation. So I'm guessing it's him. Okay, how did the rabbis in the Talmud, in our religious books, how do they interpret the saying, "The 8th day you shall observe as a sacred occasion, and bring an offering by fire to the Lord"? So, on the 8th day, the sacred occasion, God finds it difficult to part with the Jews who've been so actively involved in 7 days of celebration. That's possible, right? God will miss the Jews after this, right? How about God asked the Jews to hang around a little bit longer and continue to celebrate? Or the holiday is a celebration of the close relationship between God and the people of Israel, or all the above.
All the above.
Is that what you say, Eric?
Yes.
Well, let's see. God finds it difficult to part with the Jews. Yeah, he's been hanging around with them for 7 days. And the second one, he wants them to hang around a little bit longer. You know, don't go yet. Let's
Stay with me.
And the last one is, it shows God. Yeah, I like the all of above. That's good. Number 8 of 10. On Simchat Torah, the celebration of Torah, are children given an aliyah? Well, you know you have to be 13 and bar mitzvah to give an aliyah. So you know that's not it. Do they get to wave flags? Yes.
And Simchat Torah, yeah.
Yeah, you wave flags. Dance with the Torah, yes. And I think they are given an aliyah also but as a group, because none of them is bar mitzvah age. They're not old enough yet. So I'm going to say all three. What do you think?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
On Shmini Atzeret, this holiday, a short prayer for rain is inserted in the second blessing of the Torah, of the prayer book. This prayer for rain continues to be recited in the Amida until when? Remember, right now, at that time of year, they pray for rain,
For rain.
praying for rain until when?
Passover.
Well, let's see. A
First
short
day
prayer
of
for-
spring.
I would say the first day of spring. Passover is later on. So let's try it. I think it's a good one. And the last one is Simchat Torah is traditionally what type of holiday? Is it a holiday filled with joy, laughter, and celebration? Is it a holiday
Yes.
in which it's most important to repent for your sins?
No.
Is it a holiday for blotting out the sound of the names of those who destroyed the Jews?
No.
Or is it a holiday for celebrating Jewish continuity, the creation of the state of Israel?
No.
Hey,
Hey.
A holiday for joy. I'm going to buy that too. That's a good one. Let's see the results, folks. Oh, you answered 7 out of 10 correctly.
Wow.
So Hakafot
get
was
out of here. 7 out of 10, really? That's awesome.
that's pretty good. Come on, Eric. That's pretty good.
No, it's great. And having to be
Hakafot in the circles, right? Outside Israel, when are Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah observed? They're 1 week after Sukkot ends. So, oh no, that's what we guessed. It's 2 consecutive days is the right answer, right after each other. We guessed it right that the V'zot HaBracha is the last chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. The bride of the Torah and the groom of the Torah is the name of the person who gets to carry the Torah at the end. The circles, oh, you were right. It's both A and B. It's both the 7 days of the holiday and the 7 levels of getting closer to God. Very good. The Haftarah for Simchat Torah is taken from Joshua. I should have known that. See, I never know the name of it. I know we read it, how to sing it. But how did the rabbis in the Talmud interpret Leviticus, the 8th day of blah, blah, blah? You guys were right. This holiday is a celebration of the close relationship between God and the people of Israel. And then the next one was, on Simchat Torah, children are given an aliyah, they wave flags, they dance with the Torah. The answer was?
All of the above.
All the above.
Yay.
Okay. Shmini Atzeret. I think, yeah, we say the blessing for rain every day until when? Who said Passover? You were right.
Oh my, yeah.
Eric was
Oh,
right.
Eric, you were right.
Eric, yeah.
It just comes
Woo-hoo.
naturally. What can I say?
Because it wouldn't be Hanukkah. That's in the middle of winter, right? You
Yeah.
want the rain to continue until
Yeah.
the crops are growing, right? So first day of spring is too early to stop the rain. Passover is good. It's later in April, usually. Okay. Simchat Torah is truly what type of holiday? Was it a holiday to repent for our sins? Blot out the sound of people who destroyed us? No. A holiday filled with joy, laughter, and celebration. Somebody said, who gave that answer also?
Couple
Sarah.
of us.
Yeah, a couple of you did. Very good. All right. Then what are 3 foods that fight memory loss? No, that's another. That's an episode.
Eggs?
I forgot. I forgot which foods. Anyway. Good job on the quiz. That was tough even for a rabbi. I'm sorry. That was tough. All right. All right. So now, what time is it now? Okay. So it's 7:52. All right, next thing is we're going to go into Hebrew in a minute. I wanted to talk about this week's Torah portion. There's 2 links from YouTube. What I love about it, these are real short. They're like 3 minutes, and they tell you what happened in this week's Torah portion. Because each week, as I told you, we read 1 chapter of the Torah. So by the end of the year, till Simchat Torah, we've read all the chapters in the whole scroll. So here we're kind of right in the middle with the portion of last week was Yitro, and this week is coming up here. Let's see.
Okay, Brian, I had a question about the holidays.
Yeah.
So if Shavuot is when we receive the Torah, right?
7 weeks after Passover. Yep.
So why doesn't Simchat Torah start on Shavuot?
They're celebrating different things. Shavuot, which happens when the celebrates the time that after getting out of Egypt, we come to Mount Sinai and get this wonderful benefit.
Yeah.
That's Shavuot. That's the Feast of Weeks. It's 7 weeks after Passover. The Simchat Torah is celebrating when we get to the end of the story in the scroll, we're starting over again. So it's celebrating something entirely different.
Okay.
So speaking about the 10 Commandments, I want to pull this up here. If I can, let's see, do this and exit full screen and pull this up. And let's see where the last one was. Here it is. I'll let you know when.
Brian.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about forgiveness?
Please, yes, always.
What does Judaism says what does Judaism say about forgiveness?
Well, you're supposed to forgive. When people come to you and ask you forgiveness, you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to say, I forgive you. You're supposed to. Now, for you getting forgiveness from somebody else, you have to ask them 3 times. If you try 3 times over a period of days or weeks and they turn you down every time, you've done your job. You've done all you can't force somebody to do something, but you've done the work. You've done the work. And you can feel good about yourself that you thought you should ask for it. But that's only between people. What if you're asking for forgiveness from God? You see, that's a whole different thing. We do things that only God knows about, or we say God's name in vain, like, something, damn it, or something else. We say something negative. That you can only say you're sorry on Yom Kippur, on the night before Yom Kippur, Kol Nidre, where we get rid of all vows and everything we've said to God. We ask God for forgiveness, and God hopefully will forgive us. Let us go on another year. So, does that help a little bit?
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. Well, but no, I'm just thinking about the Holocaust, though. So
When people came out of the Holocaust, they had 2 things that they did. One is they hated God, right? Because how could God allow such a thing to happen in the world? Number 2, they became agnostic or atheist. They said, I don't believe in God anymore. I stopped believing. Don't forget, most people in Europe were religious people, right? They were religious Jews, old-fashioned with the beards and the hats. They were religious people. After the war, a lot of them lost their religion. They got totally out of religion. Others became more religious. They prayed to God harder. They said, we didn't pray hard enough during World War II. We should have prayed harder. So 3 different results from the same thing. Yeah, many Holocaust survivors held it in. They never told their family the story, right? They held the stories in for many years. They didn't want to burden their children and grandchildren. Now, as they come close to death, a lot of them are telling their stories. And they come out in things like Schindler's List and other movies where you get to see how things might have been. And people wanted to know how bad it was. So they forgive individuals. They have a hard time forgiving soldiers and other people that could have saved them. In some countries, there are many people who saved Jews, hid them in their basement, hid them in the farmhouse, whatever they did. They saved many, many, hundreds of thousands of Jews. There just weren't enough to save the 6 million. So anyway, but they forgive.
What defines the point of forgiveness, though? You could apologize to somebody and say, "You forgive this," and they say, "What do you mean? It didn't bother me. Why do you want me to forgive you?"
Well, that's
Do
another.
you understand what I mean?
Then you're done. You're done then, right? You have nothing else to accomplish there. You've done your job. You've done the work. Let me show you something else here. I thought this would be kind of fun. This is getting the 10 Commandments. And there it is. Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah. Well, it says link.
Yeah, here we go. Just make sure you get the sound. Share screen, sound. Here we go.
Moses went to the mountain, and God spoke up.
Moses, this is the Lord thy God commanding you to obey my law. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. A deaf man could hear you.
What?
Nothing, Gornish, forget it. Oh, Lord, why have you chosen me? What would you have me do for you?
I shall give you my laws, and you shall take them unto the people.
Yes, Lord. Lord, I shall give these laws unto thy people. Hear me.
Oh, hear me. All pay heed. The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 15. Wait.
Oy.
10 commandments for all to obey.
So Mel Brooks has the idea that there might have been more than 10 commandments. Who knows what the 5 were that he dropped, you know?
I love that line. Yes, anybody could hear you. What?
What? Never mind.
Talking back to God.
It reminded me of the Wizard of Oz, where he says, "Don't listen to the man behind the curtain there," you know. So anyway, that was a cute. That was Mel Brooks's take on the 10 Commandments. So I'll pick up. I'm going to show you something. So, not making all the noise over there. All right, let's go to. I wanted to finish up with the. Where here? Let's see. Oh yes, the link. Okay, you have to mute yourself if you're going to be making noise. Okay. Brady, you might want to mute yourself because we can hear the things in the other room there. Okay. All right, let's go to. There it is. So we're going to look at the share. There's a Torah portion of the last week, which is not that one. It is here. Share screen. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. They always have these sad advertisements first.
החיים שלי, של טובי, ועם אנשים התעלמו מזה.
It says in
Can't see the video though.
3 verse 2.
Okay, that's what I asked for. Okay, let me see. So you have to share screen again. You always have to do it twice for some reason. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You shall not follow the majority for evil, and you shall not respond in a dispute to distort justice by inclining after the majority. In other words, you have to determine for yourself your own sense of what is right, regardless of what is popular, especially when the masses want to undermine justice for the easy way out. One of the most important parts about growing up is having the ability to decide how your actions make an impact on your friends and the world around you. When it comes to making a decision of what to do you follow the path of being just and fair, or the path of going along with the crowd, no matter how mean they may be? This principle is found in the Torah portion of Mishpatim, which is all about ways to follow Jewish ethical traditions and moral precepts. You see, back when Moses received the commandments at Mount Sinai, the Israelite people were in a bind. Newly freed from slavery in Egypt, the laws and customs they were used to couldn't apply to their status as free people. So the Israelites had to adapt and follow a new path where everyone was treated fairly. So laws and courts were put into place. Today we call the ability for all to have a say democracy. But even in this early period of Torah history, the Israelites were concerned about the need for fairness. As slaves, they had no say in their well-being, but as a free people, they would be able to determine their destiny and the destiny of their descendants. Democracy means having the ability to choose representatives who will act on behalf of the people. What is most exciting about living in a society that values democracy is that the focus is on ideas, discussion, disagreement, and compromise. all values that are central to a Jewish life. You might say that the seeds of the society that we live in today are found in this part of the book of Exodus, where Moses selects people to serve as representatives of the larger community to ensure all are treated with dignity. From these Bible verses, the Jewish tradition evolved a rich system of justice that still functions to this day. But democracy is not the end, it's the beginning. Your choices determine the path you set out on. This is a heavy burden, but also a blessed opportunity. Beware of those who may lead you astray. That is the easy way out. Instead, look to role models, parents, friends, and teachers to help guide you on your journey. Don't be afraid to go against the grain, to do what is right over what is popular. Be courageous, be bold, be you. These values allowed our ancestors to flee hardship and survive against the cruelest conditions. Take to heart the need to seek light in the darkness and reject bad decisions. Seeking love, respect, compassion, and seeing the uniqueness in all people is the best way to avoid being a follower of evil.
Is that a nice story? It's very short and to the point.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Right.
was Rabbi Shmuley.
Yeah.
Yanklowitz. I can never.
Shmuley Yanklowitz. But the idea is, he just took a Torah portion with 72 laws in it in 3 minutes, and gave you the simple fact. Last week in the Torah, we got 10 commandments, right? You know, any name one. Chelsea, give me one of the 10 commandments. You're muted. Thou shalt not mute.
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill, right? It's obvious. Eric, do you know any of the 10 commandments?
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions.
Right. You shouldn't desire something that doesn't belong to you. Brady?
Honor thy father and mother.
Yeah, that's a good one. Clara, do you know one?
Thou shalt not steal.
That's not steal. Yeah, Michelle? Oh, you're muted.
Everyone I'm thinking of, they all took. I can't think of one. Yeah, honor thy father and mother.
What about the one on the 7th day of the week?
The Sabbath.
Yeah, keep
Thou
the Sabbath.
shalt keep the.
Yeah, also,
thank you.
thou shalt not commit adultery. That's not important to you guys, so that's way down the list. But why do you even need laws like this? Why should humans have to be given laws? Don't kill is such a basic thing, but you know, it implies that the society around them in the Near East and 3,000 years ago was not such a pleasant life. People killed each other. They stole from each other. They didn't follow any religious laws except for sacrificing children or their neighbors. It was pretty cruel in the Bronze Age. This set of laws becomes really important then for settling some basic rules of society. But the hardest one for me was always don't covet. It didn't say don't just steal. That's another one, right? Who said don't steal?
I did.
Yeah, Clara. It said don't steal. That's easy. Don't steal. Don't even think of stealing. That's number 10, right? Don't covet. Don't even think about somebody else's stuff. Somebody delivers a big screen TV to your neighbor's house, and you know they're out of town for a few days. Who's going to know if you put that big screen TV in your basement? I'm sure that UPS has insurance, right? Doesn't Amazon have insurance? You know, your neighbors have it. Nobody will know. But the idea is,
also, Brian, don't desire the woman or the man next door, don't desire. Not
why?
like
What's wrong? What's wrong?
Adultery.
What's wrong if you
don't
desire
even
them?
think about it.
What if you desire the person next door? What happens?
Well, you are committing a sin. You're violating the 10 Commandments.
And you might follow it. You might actually listen. How many people rob a convenience store but don't think, I need some money. I should rob a convenience store. So they're thinking of it first before they do the action they're not supposed to do, right?
Yeah, but in here, the desiring the person, it's on itself a violation of the commandment, right? Isn't it?
Yes, even thinking about doing something wrong is a violation. But who's going to know except you and God?
Yeah, and God, right.
You see, if you steal or kill, people know. They see you do it.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest one. What's another one in the Torah? It says you have to do to your neighbor. What are you supposed to do with your neighbor? The Torah says,
Love.
love your neighbor. Well, what do you mean love your neighbor? The guy, he doesn't shovel his walk. That bum next door, he doesn't mow his part of the lawn. His house is a mess. I gotta love this guy.
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I mean, it becomes like a personal boundary issue because I mean, who's to say the neighbor's a dirtbag or not? But if he's treating other people like dirt, then why do I want to treat this guy like I want myself to be treated? Do you understand what I mean?
No, but but Jews are commanded, despite the bad behavior of this neighbor, you're supposed to love them. Treat them with love. That's why the only thing that will stop hate in our society is giving more love out, loving people.
Brian, but I think that two things. One is to love them, and one is to put boundaries. It's like, even though I love them, I'm not going to allow them to abuse me.
Yeah.
So you can love them, but don't let them don't let them not mow their lawn. You'll report them to the city because the place is a mess, right?
Yeah.
Or if you don't, what happens if they don't shovel their walk? What can happen?
They get a fine
You
from
can
the
slip
city.
and fall.
Well, you can slip and fall, or even worse, a concussion. I have a friend who had a concussion slipping on a sidewalk. It could be worse. I mean, many people who've broken legs or arms or ribs falling on the ice. It happens. It's people aren't careful. Sometimes you don't notice it's there, and the ice is underneath the snow. Whoop! Your legs are up in the air. But the idea is you're supposed to take caution for other people, watch out for other people, so they don't get. The Christians have a different way of saying this commandment. They don't say love your neighbor as yourself.
I was just going to ask about it. Is it do not bear false witness?
That's number 10 or number 9. That's one of them. Yeah. Don't lie in court. Don't lie in court. But the other one, the Christian golden rule is different. Anybody remember another golden rule in Christianity? Do
unto others
as you'd have them do unto you.
Unto you.
In other words, treat other
Same.
people as you would like them to treat you. That was restated by Jesus, coming from the original. Love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. And that's what we say in Hebrew. The corollary to that is do unto other people. You want to be treated nice, you treat them nice. Don't want them to slip on your walk, you shovel your walk and you set an example for the other people around you.
Brian, I have a question about that thing. Jesus said that was the second most important commandment, to love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
But is that the second most important commandment in Judaism?
We don't rank things according to importance. I think the worst one is to kill.
But the most important one is to love God. That is ranked though.
That's number 1. It's repeated in Torah many times. Love the God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. That's number 1. Yeah.
But then that's it. The other ones are not ranked.
They're not ranked. There's no rank. Christianity kind of keeps score. If you're going to go to heaven and St. Peter is waiting at the gate, and they said, Clara, how many points do you got? Well, I got 1,000 points. Yeah, Clara, I saw you didn't open the door for that old lady at the Festival Foods last week. I don't think you really lost 50 points because of that. See, Judaism doesn't really have a point system. I wish we did. I wish we had a point system. So, Brian did a good job today. He's going to heaven, because of that. We don't get that. It's not that easy. It's too hard being Jewish. Too hard. I grew up with Catholic people in New Jersey, Roman Catholic, Italian Catholics, and they would go to confession every week. And I went with them to the confession booth, the confessional. And they said, teenage boys, what do they say to the priest, right? But teenage boys did bad things, they thought bad things, and the priest said, say 4 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys, and you'll be forgiven. And he leaves the booth, and Kevin feels great. He just left. He was absolved by the priest. He's going to go out and sin tomorrow, a whole nother week of sinning. I said, no, Kevin, you missed the whole point. You just confessed. Get rid of it. Don't do it next week. Stop doing it. Stop doing the behavior. I thought that was funny because he thought he was forgiven. Then he could do it again because he'll just get forgiven again next week. It was too easy. See, Judaism is too hard, it's too hard. So, all right, let's go on. I want to give you a quick Hebrew lesson. We have 15 minutes left. So we'll pick up in our Hebrew books, which I sent everybody, but I'll be glad to send you a hard copy if you want that as well. And it's here and our desktop, and over here, Basic Judaism, Hebrew workbook. Okay. Where is it? There it is. Hebrew class, Hebrew workbook. And then I will bring it up on the screen in a second. Share screen. Pictures. Okay. And there you are. And flip that one. That one. That one. That one. Okay. Share screen. Let's see. How about there? Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so this is the one I sent out to everybody. It's got the alphabet there. And I want you to practice that, but they start out with really easy exercises, right? Like the first one, we learned that that little line under any letter is pronounced how? So no matter what letter it's under, it's always very simple. Then the next letter is, the next vowel is also pronounced like except in very few words, it gets a pronunciation of aw. So it's not always it's pronounced like the Ashkenazic, the European. So Sephardim were the Jews that came from Spain, and they always had a pronunciation of So next thing we learned is the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. How is that pronounced?
B.
B, like ball, right? So that's bet. It's called a bet. And so the first line, how would we read that? Claire, you want to try the first line?
Okay. Ba, 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 ba.
Good. Eric, try the second line. Line 2.
Ba 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 ba.
Good. All right. Line 3. Chelsea, why don't you try? And remember that the aleph is silent, but it's based on whatever vowel is underneath it. So why don't you try that?
Okay, I'm kind of rusty on this. I'm not even gonna lie, but
yep.
Okay. So ba 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 ba.
Beautiful. So how about 4? Who hasn't had a chance yet? Michelle.
Ba 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 ba.
Good. And Brady, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, try line 5. Remember, the aleph is silent.
Abba. Abba.
Abba. Now you should know that the word Abba means, what does Abba mean in Hebrew?
Father.
Father. And Ba means coming. Abba Ba means father is coming. Dad is coming home. Okay, 6 is Ba, Abba, Ba. So it's pretty simple, right? And number 7, Abba, Ba. And line 8, Ba, Abba, Ba. Now we have sentence. Father is coming. Abba is dad or father. Ba means coming. Notice there's no is in Hebrew. There's no is. Abba Ba means father comes. There's really no is like there is in English. Just 2 words. Abba Ba, father comes. Now, what happens if we take the dot out? Remember, here's a B, right? The bet has a dot in it. It's pronounced like a B. If we take the dot out of the B, it's pronounced like a
V.
V. right? And another vowel we learn, it's silent. So, Clara, you want to try line 1?
V,
V.
V. Well, oh no, I'm sorry. You're saying V, va, v.
Good. Okay, Eric, line 2.
Wait a
Pronounce like a
second.
V. Pronounce like a V.
Va, 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 va.
Va, 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 va. Good. Brady, line 3.
Okay, va.
That's right. And how about Michelle, line 4? That's tricky.
Ba.
It's tricky. They go between a B and a V, right?
Yep. Ba, va, ba, va, ba, va, ba.
Beautiful. Okay. All right, now it's just a little trickier. Eric, read line 5. What? Line 5.
Ba, 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 ba.
And okay, so it's like ba, va, ba, va, ba, va, ba. The aleph has no sound unless there's a vowel with it, right? So it's ba, and the aleph has no sound at all. Line 6.
I was close.
Yeah, you were. No, we're good. Now how's that pronounced? Everybody. V. There's no vowel with it, right? Then av, ba, av. Line 7. We have father here, the word for father. Abba,
Abba,
ba. Line 8 together. Av,
av,
ba,
ba,
av, ba,
av, ba.
And line 9 is the same. Father's coming. Abba,
ba.
You're already into lesson 5. Look at that. All right, let's see. It's we got 9 minutes left. Okay, so this is a new vowel we've had. E. Some people pronounce it like a little like an I, like eh, like ill or kick, but most people pronounce it like E. E as in P. So line 1 would be E, E, B, V. That's a V, right? The V sound. V, V. Good. Line 2. B, V, V, B, B, V, V. Good. Line 3. V, Avi, Av, Aviv, V. This word is part of this. It's one of this. It's the largest city in Israel. Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv. It means spring. Aviv. Tel Aviv. There's the word Aviv. Aleph, Vet, Yud, Vet. Aviv. Line 4. Av, Av, Avi. Good. 5. Abba, Avi, Avi. Line 6. Ba, Avi, Av, Avi. Ba, Avi, Av, Avi. That's what we'll do today. I just want to give you, we want to do one song. There we go. Want you to learn a Sukkot song. Try to learn a song about each of the holidays. This one's called "I Built a Little Sukkah." So, my friend Dean Friedman wrote this years ago, and I've always carried it with me. All right, repeat after me. I built a little sukkah.
I built a little sukkah
Out in the back.
Out
Out
in
in the back.
Looks a little like it looks like a house,
It
looks
looks
like
like
a
a
house
Like a
house
and a
house
little like
and
a
a little
shack.
like a shack.
and a
and
little
a
like a
little like
shack.
a shack.
It's not too big
It's
It's
not
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 too
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 big
big
and it's not too high.
and it's
and
and
not
it's
it's
too
not
high.
not
too
too high.
When
high.
you sit inside,
And
When
when you
you
sit
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 inside,
inside,
you
inside,
can see the sky.
you
you
can
can
see
see
the
the
then
sky.
sky.
everybody sings together. Shake, shake, shake the lula.
Shake, shake,
shake,
shake,
Smell
shake,
the eggs
shake
are
the
so
lula.
sweet.
So sweet.
Come and take a
No.
look up
Look up
at my sukkah
my
and
sukkah
have
and
yourself
help
something
yourself
to eat.
something to eat.
Let's try that. Shake, shake, shake the
Shake
lula.
the lula.
Smell the eggs are
Smells
so
the
sweet.
heart so sweet.
Come and take a
Come
look up
Take a
look
look
up
at my
my
at
sugar
my
sukkah and
sukkah
have
and
and
help
help
yourself
yourself
something
yourself
something to
to
eat.
something
eat
to eat.
in my sukkah. All right, repeat
In
after me.
my,
I built my sukkah
I
I
built
built
my
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 sukkah
with
sugar
sticks and twigs.
With
with
sticks and
sticks
twigs.
and
and
I
twigs.
twigs.
strung up apples
I
I
strung
Strung
up
up
strung up
apples
and
apples
apples
nuts and figs
and
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 nuts
nuts
and
nuts
and
and
figs
and
figs
some
figs.
bananas.
and
and
some
some bananas.
bananas.
Some
And that's
bananas,
not all.
And
And
that's not
that's
all.
not
that's
all.
not
There were
all.
fruits and veggies
There were
Fruits and
fruits and
veggies
Fruits and
all
veggies
over the
veggies
wall.
all over
all
the
all
over
wall.
the
over the
wall.
wall.
Shake, shake,
Shake, shake,
shake the
shake the
lula.
lula.
Smell the
Smell
eggs are
the
so
extra
sweet.
so sweet.
Come and take a
Come
Come
and
look
and
take a
up
look
take
up
at
my
my
at
sugar
my
sukkah and
sukkah
have
and
and
yourself
help
help
something
yourself
to
yourself
to
eat
something to
something
eat.
to
in my sukkah. In
sugar.
my
In my sugar.
sukkah. I built my sukkah
I
I
Built
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 my
my
sugar
sukkah
of cloth and wood.
and
of
of
cloth
cloth and
and
wood.
wood.
Looks so pretty
It
It
looks
looks
so
And
so
it
pretty
looks
and
so
pretty
smells
pretty
so good.
and
and
it
it smells
smells
and it
so
so
smells
good.
so
good.
With
good.
leaves and branches
With
Leaves
leaves
and
Leaves
and
and
branches
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 all around.
all
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 around.
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 And Mama lights a candle
And Mama
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 Like
lights
as
likes
the
a
the
sun
candle
candle
goes down.
and the
as the
as the
sun
sun
goes
sun
goes
down.
goes
down.
down.
Shake, shake, shake the lula.
Lula,
Smell the
smell
extra
the
so
extracts
sweet.
so sweet.
Come and have a
Come
look
and
Come
up
take a look
at
at my
my
look
sugar.
up
sukkah
at
and
my
have
sukkah
yourself
and
Help
help
something
yourself
yourself
to
to
something
something
to
eat
to
eat.
eat.
in my
Sugar.
sukkah. In
Sugar,
my sukkah. In
Sugar,
my
in
My
my
sugar.
sugar.
We need to be sitting on the beach by the ocean singing that song.
What's that?
We need to be sitting on the beach by the ocean singing that song.
I know.
In
So
front of a fire.
every holiday has songs. There's like we're working on Purim now. There's like a dozen songs. We're only going to teach the kids like 2 or 3 songs. Wasn't that a fun one? It gives
Yeah.
you the whole idea of sukkah, hanging things up, and
Yeah,
having fruits.
it's the instructions.
It's just
With
how
the
you got to
open
see.
roof, looking at the
You have to be
sky.
able to see the sky. You
Yeah.
can't block the sky. So anyway, it's fun. Thank you so much for coming today. You'll never get this hour and a half back of your life. So I hope that you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Tell your friends and neighbors to come. Our next one is next week. Order learning next week. We are learning something different. Next week, I'll send it out earlier though. I want you to watch that little movie on forgiveness, which is really good. And the lesson plan says next week we're going to be, you got to hang around for this one. Divine providence, that is God watching out for us individually? Is God involved in each of our lives personally? We're going to talk about the covenant with Abraham that God had with Abraham. And what is God? So,
Oh,
we're going to cover some like very minor topics next
oh
week.
yeah, just 5 hours. Class is going to be 5 hours.
No, but it's how we relate to God. What I try to do, obviously, this class could be like 5-6 hours, but I'm giving you the, kind of the summary. So I hope you'll learn on your own if you want to learn more about a lot of these things. But I'm going to give you what do they call it? Little taste of, you don't get the whole pizza. You get just a little slice,
That's right. Right.
Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful, blessed week and stay warm.
Yeah.
Brian, I haven't gotten the book still
What?
for learning for the the reading one.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it.
Oh, I send it out by email.
When?
Oh, I'll do. I don't know. I'll do it again. I'll do it now.
Okay.
I sent it the first couple of times, but I'll send it out along with the attachments for next week. Please do try to watch that movie about forgiveness. It's really good, about a Holocaust survivor trying to forgive her, move on with her life, because she's carried this thing with her whole life. You know. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and stay warm. Don't go out there.
Thank you, Brian.
All right,
Good
be
to
well.
see everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.